All right, everybody, ready for a juicy one? Today, we're taking a deep dive into Ellen DeGeneres and, well, how do we put this? The price of being kind.
Ooh, yeah.
You've definitely heard the whispers about her fall from grace, but we're going to unpack what really went down and what it says about fame in the age of, like, cancel culture and all that.
Right.
We've got two great sources to dig into. First, there's this new review from Salon. They really went in on her recent stand-up special on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this interview Ellen did with People magazine where she actually talks about wanting to be remembered as beloved. So let's get into it. Okay, so for anyone who's been living under a rock, we got to back up for a sec and remember Keek Ellen. Like, she was the queen of nice.
Total queen of nice.
Giving away cars, dancing with audience members, making everyone feel good. Her whole brand was be kind, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly why this whole thing was such a big deal, because then you have these allegations come out about a toxic workplace environment on her show.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, how can these two things exist at the same time?
Right. It's jarring. Like finding out your favorite aunt is secretly running an underground gambling ring or something.
Exactly. And it speaks to these larger conversations we're having about public figures and how much we really know about them. Like, think about Louis C.K., J.K. Rowling, Kanye. They all faced huge backlash. And it makes you question, can we ever truly separate the art from the artist?
That's a good question. So let's fast forward to today. Ellen is trying to make a comeback with this new stand-up special, right? But this Salon review did not hold back. They basically said she spends most of the time joking about, like, windshield wipers and parking tickets. Yeah, and they called it out. Like, she's dancing around the elephant in the room, which, let's be honest, is a pretty big elephant to dance around.
Totally. So how is she addressing it when she does?
Yes.
Because she has to, right?
Right. So there's this one part, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she basically jokes about getting kicked out of show business for being mean. Like, who knew you couldn't be funny and mean? But it's almost like she's making light of the whole thing.
Interesting. So it's like, is that self-awareness or is it deflecting? Like, is the humor a defense mechanism?
And is it landing? Because the Salon reviewer had this great point. While the audience might be laughing along, are they also thinking about the people who were allegedly hurt? The people who maybe experienced that mean behavior firsthand?
That's the thing. This isn't just about Ellen and her career. There are real people involved and real stories.
And we can't forget about that. And that idea of real stories, like, it makes you think about this whole idea she brings up about wanting to be beloved.
Right.
She says that in the People interview, that that's how she wants to be remembered. But can you choose that?
It's interesting, right? Like, the Salon article brought up a good point. What about the people on the other side of those stories? The people who maybe didn't experience that beloved Ellen.
Exactly. Do they get a say in how she's remembered?
It's like, does someone control their own legacy? Or does it become more about how other people experienced you?
And as being the same as being respected, you know?
Right. Big difference.
Totally. But to be fair to her, in that People interview, she does say that being called mean just, like, consumed her. Which, I mean, on some level, I get it. She built her whole career on this idea of kindness. And to have that crumble.
Yeah, to have it, like, completely flipped on its head. Right?
Totally. To be the opposite of that, that's got to mess with you.
Yeah, it's a lot to process, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about what celebrities go through, like maintaining this image.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
It's this constant pressure to be perfect. And if you show any cracks, boom, the public's ready to pounce.
Right. And then you have to apologize and over-explain, and it becomes this whole thing.
Exactly.
And I think part of that is what she was trying to say in the interview, too, because she says, like, I've spent my whole life trying to make people happy, and I care way too much what people think. And it's almost like, I don't know, is she kind of playing the victim here a little bit?
Well, it brings up that question, doesn't it? Like, intent versus impact.
Yeah.
Like, maybe she did have good intentions, I don't know. But what really matters is the impact of your actions.
Yeah.
How they made people feel, you know?
Totally. And that leads to another thing she says that I thought was interesting, this idea of her not even wanting to be a boss. Like, she never wanted that role, never felt comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And she kind of implies that it's because she's a woman that maybe women are just raised differently. Like, we aren't cut out for leadership in the same way.
It's a common argument, right?
Right.
We hear it a lot, but it's always tricky.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, we know women face different expectations as leaders. There's more scrutiny, more pressure to be perfect.
For sure. Like, we've seen it a million times.
Yeah. A million times. Exactly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like, can you hide behind your gender? Can you use that to excuse bad behavior?
He feels a little too easy, like a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Exactly. It's like, acknowledge the challenges, for sure,
Yeah.
but also take responsibility for your actions.
Right, own it. So is she deflecting blame? Or is she trying to have this genuine conversation about the double standards that women face?
It's hard to know. You want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but it's tough.
It really is. It's a good point. It's tricky. Because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, being a woman in charge comes with a whole different set of challenges and double standards. But can you use that to justify, mistreating people?
It's a tough one. And it's especially complicated with someone like Ellen, right?
Yeah.
Because she's not just any boss. She's mega famous.
Oh, totally. And her whole thing was being relatable, like your best friend.
Right. So it makes this whole thing even more jarring. You're like, wait, this doesn't line up with the image I had of her.
Exactly. And it makes you question, how much of it was even real? Was that be kind stuff genuine, or was it all just a marketing ploy?
It's that age-old question, right? Authenticity versus performance. Are we getting the real deal or just a carefully crafted persona?
And if it's the persona, does that mean she's off the hook for how people were treated? Does it even matter at that point?
Right. Good intentions only go so far, right? At a certain point, you got to own up to the impact of your actions.
Totally. And it brings us back to that whole debate about cancel culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it effective? Is it fair? I mean, it seems like in Ellen's case, it was more like a timeout than a total cancellation, She's still got this huge platform, this Netflix special, tons of money.
Which makes you think about what true accountability looks like, right?
Yeah.
Is it about losing everything, or is it about acknowledging the harm, making amends, showing real change?
Yeah, and who gets to decide that? Is it up to us, the public? Or is it up to the person themselves to decide when they've, redeemed themselves?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating. It's not just about Ellen. It's about all of us, right? How do we deal with these complex situations where there's no easy answer? How do we hold each other accountable, but also leave room for growth? It's a lot.
It really is, and it's something we all have to figure out, I guess. So there you have it, Ellen DeGeneres. The comeback, the controversy, and the complexities of being human in the public eye. We hope you found this deep dive as thought-provoking as we did.
Definitely check out those articles from Salon and People if you want to go even deeper.
Yes. Read them, form your own opinions, and until next time, keep asking those tough questions and keep diving deep.